I'm freezing. Let me in, the promise an Apache woman never forgot. The wind came first, screaming through the canyon like a wounded animal, slicing through skin and bone, carrying with it the kind of cold that made the world feel cruel and alive at the same time. Snow pressed down from a moonless sky, thick and relentless, burying tracks, swallowing sound, erasing the past. On a narrow mountain trail just beyond the pine line, a lone figure staggered forward, boots torn, breath ragged, lips cracked blue. His name no longer mattered to the storm. He was just another body it meant to claim. Each step felt like betrayal, like his legs were conspiring with the cold to lay him down forever. He collapsed once, face pressed into ice, the ground stealing what little warmth remained. That's when he whispered it, not a prayer, not a plea to God, but a desperate promise to the darkness itself. I'm freezing. Let me in. The words vanished into the wind, but somewhere fate heard them. Years earlier, in the same mountains, an Apache girl named Nantan Loma learned the meaning of promises. She was barely 12 when her grandmother taught her that words, unspoken, became living things. "A promise," the old woman said, her voice soft but unbreakable. "It does not belong to the mouth. It belongs to the spirit. Break it, and the spirit remembers." Nantan carried those words like a hidden blade. Life hardened her early. Soldiers burned her village when she was 16. She watched smoke eat the sky and heard screams turn into silence. She learned how quickly warmth, of fire, of family, of safety could disappear. Yet in the ashes, she made herself another promise. No one would ever freeze outside her door if she could stop it. Now grown, alone and living in a small wooden cabin near the edge of the frontier, Nantan survived by trading hides, herbs and knowledge of the land. Settlers feared her. Some called her a ghost. Others called her a witch. But when winter came, even fear bowed to need. That night, as the storm raged, Nantan was feeding her fire when she froze, not from cold, but from sound. A knock, weak, almost imagined. Then again, 3 taps, uneven, fading. The kind of knock that comes from someone who knows they might not survive another moment. Nantan stood still, heart pounding. The world outside her door was the same world that had taken everything from her. The same world that hunted her people. The same world that taught her not to trust. Another knock came, so faint it felt like a goodbye. And then she heard it. A voice, hoarse, broken, nearly gone. "I'm freezing. Let me in." Those words hit her like a spear to the chest. Not because of the man, but because of the promise. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her skull. "Promises, remember." Without thinking, Nantan grabbed her fur cloak and threw the door open. Snow rushed in like a living thing. A man collapsed across the threshold. Skin gray, eyes glassy, body shaking violently. He was not Apache. He was a settler, a trapper by the look of him. The kind of man her people had every reason to hate. For one long heartbeat, Nantan hesitated. Then she remembered the fires, the screams, the cold. She dragged him inside. The night became a battle against death itself. Nantan stripped the frozen clothes from his body, rubbing life back into limbs that no longer obeyed him. She fed him warm broth, drop by drop, whispering to him in Apache, not caring if he understood the words, only that he felt the will behind them. He burned with fever, then shook with cold. At one point, his eyes fluttered open, unfocused, and he murmured something, her name, though he could not have known it. Or maybe he said nothing at all, and her heart simply filled in the silence. By dawn the storm broke, and the man lived. When he woke fully days later, he stared at her as though she were a dream he feared losing. His name was Elias Crow. He had been left for dead by his own party when his leg broke miles from shelter. "Why?" he asked weakly. "Why save me?" Nantan met his gaze without flinching. "Because you knocked," she said. "And because I made a promise before. I knew your face." Elias didn't understand then, but he would. Because some debts are not paid in words. They are paid in a lifetime. Elias should have left once he could walk. That was the rule of the frontier. Take what mercy you're given and disappear before it. Turns into something complicated. But Winter had other plans, and so did fate. His leg healed slowly, and Nantan refused to let him risk the trail too soon. Days turned into weeks. Silence turned into conversation. Conversation turned into understanding neither of them expected. Elias learned that Nantan spoke 3 languages, that she laughed softly when surprised, that she prayed to the mountains before sleeping. Nantan learned that Elias had once believed the lies told about her people, and that belief had died the night she dragged him from the snow. Trust didn't bloom like a flower. It formed like iron, slow under pressure, tested by fire. One evening, as they shared food by the fire, Elias told her the truth. The men who left him had done it on purpose. Supplies were low. A broken man was a burden. They said I'd slow them down, he admitted, shame thick in his voice. They promised to come back. Nantan stared into the flames. Promises remember, she said quietly. Elias felt something break open inside him. He realized then that he was alive, not because of luck, but because of someone else's integrity. Someone else's pain turned into compassion. Spring came late that year. When the snow finally melted, Elias stood at the door with his pack ready. He didn't want to leave, but he knew he had to. I owe you my life, he said. Nantan shook her head. You owe me nothing. Elias swallowed hard. Then let me make a promise. He knelt, not in submission, but in respect. If you ever need shelter, if you ever knock, my door will open. Nantan studied him, searching for weakness, for lies. Finding none, she nodded once. A promise made, a spirit awakened. Years passed. The frontier changed. Towns rose where forests once stood. Violence followed progress like a shadow. One night, long after Elias was gone, Nantan's cabin burned. Not by accident. She escaped with nothing but the clothes on her back. Bruised, hunted, and freezing, she remembered the words spoken by a man she once saved. The memory guided her feet through miles of darkness until she reached a settlement glowing faintly. Against the night, a single house stood at the edge. Light in the window, smoke from the chimney. Nantan raised her hand and knocked. Inside, Elias froze when he heard it. Not because of fear, but recognition. He opened the door to find a woman standing in the snow, proud even in ruin, eyes fierce despite exhaustion. I'm freezing, she said. Let me in. Elias stepped aside without hesitation. The door closed. The fire roared higher. The promise was fulfilled. From that night on, the house was never empty again. They built something stronger than survival. They built belonging. And in a world that often forgets kindness, they became a reminder that humanity begins with a single choice: to open the door. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of the power of keeping your word, subscribe. Now, sometimes survival is not about strength. It's about who opens the door when the world turns cold. And if this story has touched you even a little, subscribe to the channel now. More powerful stories like this are waiting for you.